Welcome back to Zero Production Value Movie Reviews. My name's Eric Hoernke, and today I'm going to be discussing the 2002 film Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, directed by Chris Columbus. This is the second Harry Potter film overall, and the second one in a row to be directed, and the last to be directed by Chris Columbus. It was wildly successful at the time, proving that Harry Potter was going to be a juggernaut at the box office, just like it was in book form. It ultimately became second in the box office to another major market sequel in The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. A lot of this film feels a lot like the first film. It feels like the next logical step from the first movie, which is pretty much to be expected, as it is directed by Columbus again, and it's the same wonderful production design, the same wonderful set design. All of our same cast of characters pretty much are returning. So, like I said, it just feels like the next logical progression from year one to year two. The kids return and pretty much are doing the same thing they did in the first film. There's a lot. The first film did a lot of heavy lifting as far as setup is concerned, so we don't have to run through a lot of that, but the second film still does amplify more of that setup. To me, I think this is one of the probably the weakest film, although not my most unfavorite, but probably the weakest film of the Harry Potter series. That's not to say it's bad, so before you are furiously typing to tell me how great this movie is and how great the Harry Potter series is, just let me finish, hear me out. Once again, like I said, this is just another sort of mystery set amidst the normal stuff that the kids must do: return to class, go to Quidditch, and run around Hogwarts, essentially. So like that, it's a lot like the first one. There's a lot going on in this movie. There is setup that has to be done. It adds some new flavors, adds some new characters. The mystery that they set up is pretty beefy. It takes a lot of time. Ultimately, the running time comes in at 2 hours and like 45 minutes, almost just a little bit under 3 hours. So this is a very bloated narrative. Also, this is the last one that seems to feel kiddie. Part of that is Columbus, but part of that is the kids themselves. They're still kind of young in this. The first film and the second film went back to back, year to year, and the next one would take 2 years off, and in those 2 years you could tell the kids, not only the kids, but the story as well, matured emotionally. So this is the last one to feel like it is more, I don't want to say younger kid based, but younger actor kid. So along with that, just because of the size of the movie and what all the different things they're trying to do, it feels a bit unfocused as well. Along with all the returning players, there are pretty much 3 major new cast additions, I would say. First off, Jason Isaacs plays Lucius Malfoy, and he does a great bad guy. He just reeks, I am the evil guy in the room, and it sets up what would be a major antagonist for Harry Potter and the side of good for the entire series. And you wonder why the little snot Draco is so awful. Meeting his dad, we now kind of know why Draco is the way he is. So that he's a very good addition to the cast, and a guy you just love to hate. Along with that, we get a new Defense of the Dark Arts teacher in the form of Gilderoy Lockhart, played by Kenneth Branagh, which kind of becomes a recurring theme in Harry Potter as they cycle through these Defense Against the Dark Arts teachers for various reasons. As we knew in the last film, the Defense Against the Dark Art teacher was essentially Voldemort in disguise, sort of, or was harboring Voldemort, so he was gone. And this guy is also meant not to be a very likable character, but not for the reasons of Lucius Malfoy. Instead, this guy is supposed to be a grand wizard and, has all these exploits, And we come to find out pretty fast that he's nothing but a charlatan and a con man, has managed to con everybody into believing he is this great wizard, and in fact just goes along hiding his ineptitude and pretty much covering it up by erasing people's memories who disagree with him along the way. So, and then last but not least is the character of Dobby the house elf. This might stir a few emotions. It's reminiscent to me, well, not reminiscent because this was before, but kind of like Olaf in Frozen. I really don't like Dobby. I don't hate him as a character, like I hate what they do with him. Because once again, like I said, this film is bloated with its running time. It has a lot of non-essential stuff, and it has a lot of non-essential stuff due to Dobby. When we first meet Dobby, it's before Harry even goes back to Hogwarts, and he's got the Dursleys, and Dobby shows up, and I'm sure he's a beloved character from the book, and everybody was happy to see him. But he's there essentially throughout most of the story. He does things, he appears, does something to Harry in an effort to keep him from going to Hogwarts, or an effort to get him to leave Hogwarts for reasons. He keeps saying that Harry's going to die, something bad's going to happen to him, although the weird part is, like, we really don't exactly know what Dobby is talking about. Like, is he talking about the Chamber of Secrets plotline? I really never really understood what Dobby knew, like what he was exactly trying to protect Harry Potter from. What he was trying to do to, and his remedy was almost as bad as what Harry Potter was going to get into in the first place, because he was practically killing the kid in order to get him to do what he wanted him to do. So it just seemed, I don't know, it just seemed non-essential and illogical, and I wish if they were going to put him in, I wish his motivations would have been a bit clearer, because I just don't understand what he was trying to do really for Harry Potter, or how he thought about what was going on. Because if Harry Potter needed to be saved, well then why didn't all the other kids need to be saved? But for some reason he was pinpointing Harry Potter as one who needed to be saved. I don't know. It seemed, like I said, pretty silly to me. So that's my opinion. And like I said, it added to this non-essential, bloated runtime of this movie. So as the kids return to Hogwarts, like I said, we get a little bit more setup at the Dursleys, which is another thing about the Harry Potter thing I don't understand. I know the Dursleys are the only family that Harry's got, and Dumbledore actually references that when McGonagall says something about it, I think, and he's like, well, they're the only family Harry's got, and apparently that is very important within this mythology, because they keep sending him back to the Dursleys, and they hate him, he hates them, but somehow they don't want him, but they don't want him to leave. It's very weird, and this continues throughout almost like all the movies in some form or fashion, and I guess maybe they come to some sort of begrudging acceptance towards the end. Maybe I'll remember better as I watch it, but here it just seems nonsensical why he's still at the Dursleys, and that at least continues for a little while. So that being said, Ron shows up with the flying car with his brothers to bust him out, and they take him to Ron's house, and we get some more of that setup. We get the Weasley family homestead, and we get Ginny and our first real indication that Ginny has a thing for Harry, which is cute, and obviously that's going to be, projecting forward more than a few books and films. That's going to be the ultimate love story for Harry Potter, is Ginny Weasley. And so once they're back at Hogwarts, like I said, we get them settled back into their classes, Quidditch, meet some new instructors, yada yada yada. And then the primary mystery aspect takes over. Students start getting petrified. Like, they're alive, but they're just frozen, and they have to go through some rigmarole, which we conveniently learn through one of their classes of how they're going to have to get unpetrified. But in any case, kids are getting petrified, and there's scrawl across the walls that the Chamber of Secrets has been opened, and all this stuff, and the staff is keeping mum on the whole topic. So obviously our three intrepid junior detectives, Harry, Ron, and Hermione, go about trying to uncover this mystery. And Harry winds up being just sort of that wrong guy in the wrong place at the wrong time. He always manages to stumble on these petrified people, or in one case a cat. Like, he stumbles across it, and then people see him, and not only that, but they see him speaking parcel tongue, which is language of the snakes, which Slytherin is identified with a snake, and so when they talk about the heir of Slytherin, it talks about the Chamber of Secrets has been opened, the heir of Slytherin shall be revealed, something, blah, blah, blah. Right? So a lot of people start to think that Harry Potter is that heir to Slytherin and has something to do with all the stuff that's going on. And really, he's just in the wrong place at the wrong time, like every time. So eventually we get to the point where even Hermione, through all their investigation, Hermione gets petrified. And then Ginny Weasley is taken and has been secreted away to the Chamber of Secrets. And Harry Potter must fight his way in there. And when he gets there, he finds Ginny, and he finds this former student, or a shade of a former student, named Tom Marvolo Riddle. Which, it's pretty easy to see, because almost every story comes back to this, but that he is a form of Voldemort, once again. And the horror is revealed in the Chamber of Secrets to be a basilisk, which is a type of serpent which can kill by looking at you, but if seen through reflective surfaces or off reflective surfaces or through a medium, it winds up in just being petrification. So Harry Potter does battle with this basilisk and manages, with a little bit of help from Dumbledore and his helpful Phoenix Fawkes, manages to slay the basilisk and banish Riddle, or aka Voldemort, once again. Sort of a all's well that ends well kind of tale. And then all the people who are petrified are being unpetrified and everybody's happy. And then the one scene I did like with Dobby was when he got up his one-up on Lucius Malfoy and managed to get Dobby free by having him inadvertently he inadvertently had Lucius Malfoy give Dobby clothes, which is what frees a house elf. So that was a nice little scene for Dobby, and I did enjoy that quite a bit. So although this is a bloated, lesser Harry Potter movie, it's still a very good time, and a re-immersion into the world of Harry Potter, the expanding Potterverse, all these quickly becoming familiar and fun characters feels like just re-wrapping yourself in a warm blanket. And we're thrilled to know that not only did we just do this for a second time, but we're going to get to do this for at least, 6 more times in the future as these movies spool out. And like I said, this is still one of sort of innocence for the kids, which is good, and you like to see the progressions of the later films as it becomes more and more, the stakes rise, and Hogwarts as a school entity kind of takes on less of a major factor as they're actually doing battle against the forces of good versus the forces of evil, rather than it just being like, hey, we're going to school for the year. But there is something, like I said, warm and embracing about the setup, like, hey, this is a school year, it's going to take place over a school year, and we know that the darkness ahead is coming, but we can just, rest on our laurels, at least in this sort of isolated story, sort of almost like a standalone story, because it really doesn't vault the Harry Potter, the overall Harry Potter narrative forward that much. But face it too, despite the fact that my qualms about this movie, if you're a fan of Harry Potter, you're probably not going to care, and it's just really splitting hairs, because like me for the Lord of the Rings, I will sit through a longer movie with some things that some people might consider boring, because I enjoy the material so much, I enjoy the characters so much, I enjoy the setting so much, I enjoy the story so much. So, all in all, like I said, a good movie, just probably the weakest of all 8 films. But like I said, not my most unfavorite. So you're going to have to stay tuned for that one. This has been my review of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I love you. I appreciate you. As always, I'm Eric Hoernke, rhymes with turnkey, and this has been a production of Zero Value.